right, so this is part a fitness channel, and we also do finance, so I thought it'd be fun to look at a fitness-related stock, and one recently that took a very big hit, and that is Peloton. Now, what is Peloton? Well, let's introduce you to a video from Peloton themselves explaining what they are.
Peloton was started in 2012. Our founder, John Foley, had an idea.
What if studio fitness could happen in the home?
Good idea.
I thought so too.
And so did John's co-founders.
There was a lot to figure out.
Where do you start? How far do you go? What do you need to make?
How do you bring that into their home?
So we got to work. We made our own hardware, developed our own software, and created our own content with our very own world-class instructors. Building something that's the first of its kind, with teams spanning software, mechanical engineering, product design, fitness instruction, content production, marketing, music, logistics, supply chain, retail, apparel.
All right, so basically they are a subscription service, and you have the option to buy some equipment and use it in conjunction with their app. And so it's basically a fitness company, and you can do workouts at home is their claim to fame. But recently, their stock dropped significantly. About 30 to 50% within a few days, but from their highs, about 75%. And so a lot of people have probably lost a lot of money. And, you look at articles across or surrounding Peloton, they're all negative, they're all bad. And that's what we're gonna look at today. Let's look at this video from a news site, kind of talking about Peloton.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure, based on your previous conversation, that Sir Elton can save him on this one. It's pretty ugly. The guide, I think it's more about the future guide than it is the first quarter performance. But what's really disappointing is this stock got hammered after the fourth quarter print because they guided to a really abysmal first quarter, which we've now seen was sort of in line with that guide. But the crazy thing about it is the remainder of the year was really aspirational as we think about what was built into the implied guidance for the remainder of the year. And I think a lot of people were scratching their heads at the time and wondering if this was a buying opportunity. But those numbers were not layups. And as we're seeing now, they've brought all of those targets down pretty substantially after just, it was late August, early September when we last heard from them. There was a month left in the first quarter. It's pretty amazing just how much worse things appear to have gotten with respect to the outlook here.
Okay, so basically the future of Peloton does not look bright. They kind of benefited from the pandemic. That I think is a given, right? People were forced to be home and they were desperate to work out. So Peloton jumped up in their earnings and their shares, and I already called it, but once that whole lockdown ended, I knew it was going to be trouble and spelled trouble for them. But I think there's a lot more to this with Peloton than just some decline because of the pandemic being over. I think their long-term future does not look very bright. So they announced that their subscriptions were down 6%. Now, subscriptions going down is not a good sign. This is almost a red flag. When a company has a subscription-based, that's what they're based on, is subscriptions. And you look at something like Microsoft, they're growing their subscriptions over and over. And subscriptions are gold for a company because that delivers very steady and dependable income. So when your subscriptions drop, your earnings drop. And so they've dropped their revenue forecast. The recent earnings, they showed that they made $475 million in losses, $100 million more than what was expected. And their sales were, lower by $1 billion. They were expecting $5.3 billion in sales, and it dropped to 4.4. So $1 billion, missing the mark in your sales is huge. Of course, there's some other things that have hit this company other than just the slowing of their business. There's the whole shortage of parts in general, so that's been hard on them. What really hit Peloton in the beginning, what started this whole thing, is they were linked to a lot of injuries and one child death. and it was related to the treadmill specifically. Their treadmill is different in that the back of it is huge and it's higher up, so a child can easily get under, and that caused this company to do a lot of recalls, which is expensive. And so all this together just kind of created this storm that is now showing people this might not be the company you expected it to be. You know, it had all these kind of rosy projections, but now everyone's pulling back on this company. The price projections for this company have fallen and plummeted. So I want to show this video real quick and let's talk some more.
And so that should help. But what this tells us today is that their existing products, right, their core, their bread and butter, the bike, which they just lowered the price on, it didn't stimulate demand the way that they would have hoped.
All right, so this is a red flag again. If you lower the price of a product, that should increase sales. That should get you to a whole new target market, but it did the opposite for this company. So this should be a red flag for anybody that is investing in Peloton. Why didn't they increase their sales when they lowered the price to reach a broader audience? I just think this is a huge red flag, and for me, I'm going to talk about now my side, why I never invested in this company, why I never liked it as an investment. So I follow a YouTuber, Joseph Carlson, and he bought into this stock right at the beginning or right before the pandemic, probably the beginning. And, you know, he liked it because of subscription-based service and whatever, but, you know, and I mostly agree with him, but this one I had to strongly disagree. I never saw this stock as an investment, especially a long-term investment. Luckily, he got out with a little bit of gain, but I never liked it. So why didn't I like the stock? Why did I never believe in it and never thought that it would do well? Well, first of all, this stock only rose because of the pandemic. It forced people to be home and they were desperate to work out. I know I was. And so this caused people to join many different platforms, not just Peloton. So many different platforms increased their memberships and their sales grew, and Peloton was no different from that. But I knew as an avid gym goer for many, many years now that was not going to last. I knew once gyms were able to open back up, people would flood back, and that's exactly what happened. And with gyms in general, even before the pandemic, what do you see opening up constantly in any decent sized city? You see gyms opening up regularly. People love to go to gyms, and for many different reasons I'll mention here in a minute. So the reason why I never believed in Peloton as well is when people try to work out at home, the majority of people are not disciplined enough or driven to do something like that long term. It may last a month or two, maybe 6 months at the most, but people usually drop off working out from home. How many treadmills or bikes do you see at your friends and families that are just sitting there collecting dust or used as, you know, hanging clothes or putting junk on, and they're desperately trying to get rid of them? I know way too many people that do this. I know a very, very, very small percentage of people that are able to successfully work out from home consistently. It's very rare to have somebody do that because people just innately, you know, kind of have laziness to them and they're not driven and disciplined in that aspect of things. And so a gym is where people find their motivation and their will to work out. So, you know, what do gyms provide that Peloton can't? This is what I think sets these two things apart. Well, gyms, first of all, offer a lot more variety of equipment. If anybody worked out during the pandemic, you knew equipment was extremely hard to come by and it was extremely expensive. Gyms have those relationships and they're able to keep those relationships and bring new equipment in all the time. I know the gym that I went to always would replace equipment every so often and get the newest and greatest, but you had diversity in equipment, and that's something you cannot really get at home. Gyms provide other things, such as free childcare while you're working out. Some gyms provide haircuts. You know, you have classes at gyms, and also during the pandemic, most gyms went online as well. So you have that option as well. So Peloton had to compete with that I don't think they're really planning on, that gyms pivoted pretty quickly to going online. Gyms also have pools, saunas, basketball courts, racquetball. I mean, the list goes on, and that's something you can't recreate at home. And so that's why people have flooded back to the gyms, and I drive by gym parking lots now, and they're packed all the time. And so, with these things, it's just something I knew, Peloton could never compete with, and people would not be long-term subscribers. You think of something like Netflix, that's easy to subscribe to. You sit there in your recliner and you watch TV. But when you subscribe to an online fitness program, you have to be disciplined and driven to actually get up and go work out and have the equipment to work out and be able to do that day in and day out. Not a lot of people do that. So I think a lot of people would sign up for, a subscription with Peloton, but then they probably canceled it after a couple months to maybe 6 months. And that's just something that this company will always have to deal with. And that's why I'm not an investor in it, because long term, I don't see this company being successful. Now, they may hang in there and survive, but I don't think they'll thrive. And it's just what it is. It's the market that people prefer gyms, and people typically aren't successful working out at home, and there's just too much competition that Peloton I don't think even thinks of. Gyms went online. You have a lot of gyms opening up everywhere all the time and offering so much more than what they could offer. And so for that, I never liked this stock. I never believed that it would be something that would thrive. And don't get me wrong, I think it has its place. I subscribe to another online fitness workout platform called Le Mills, and they are excellent and provide basically the same things that Peloton does, but different. And they offer equipment that they sell too. And so, it's allowed me to be more diverse in my workouts between home and gym. But I just think long term, it's never been the case where people can successfully work out at home. And I don't think that'll ever change. I think people, they'll buy that subscription, but that subscription will drop off. And let me say this, when January rolls around at the gym, it gets flooded and packed. But give it a month or two and it's back to how it was. So imagine at home where you don't really have that environment, it's not going to be very successful in my opinion. If you disagree, please, I'd love to have a discussion about this, but as an avid gym goer and fitness person, I just never saw this company as an investment. And it's being proven now that even without the death of the child and the injuries, this company's sales are slumping for a reason, because gyms are ruling it, where these, something like Peloton just can't depend on people to be subscribed long-term to a workout, subscription service. It's just, majority of people just don't do that. And so for that, I'll never invest in a company like Peloton. I may subscribe myself, but I won't invest in it because I don't think it's a good long-term investment. So I hope you guys like this video. I'm in my workout shirt, kind of went with the theme today, and I'm gonna go do a workout myself, trying to stay disciplined and driven. And I hope you guys do too, whether it's at home or at the gym, but I'm sure it's more so at the gym. And we will talk to you next time on Mark's Finance and Fitness. Please subscribe and like my channel. I very much appreciate your support. I'm trying to grow this channel, and have a great day.